What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a Mathmech combo tutorial. Now, this is one of my most requested videos recently due to the super well performance that I have been doing with this. I have played it at 2 locals, gone 5-0 at both, so my overall record between 2 locals is 10-0, and this isn't really a combo deck, so there's not going to be much to show you guys, but I want to show you guys the different lines of play and how that can work out for you, so let's go ahead and jump on in. And before we get into the video, if you like this playmat, this is the Insane Hieroglyph playmat that is now available on my merch store, both on the screen and in the description down below. Make sure you check it out, only $29.99 for the pre-order. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Alright, so for combo number 1, we're going to show you what we can do with just a single copy of Circular, and that's pretty much going to be most of these, but I want to show you every possible option. This is just the bare bones, and you can do a lot more with just one Circular, but we're going to show you guys everything there is. So we're going to start by revealing the Circular in our hand, and that lets us send a Mathmech from our deck to the grave as cost. We're going to go ahead and send our copy of Sigma as cost, so that's going to go to the grave, and then we'll be able to special summon out our Circular. Next, what we can do is if we control no monsters in our extra zone, which we don't, we can special summon the Sigma from the grave, but it will be banished when it leaves the field. So we're going to go ahead and special summon out the Sigma, and that will activate the second effect of Mathmech Circular to add any Mathmech spell or trap. So here we're going to add the Super Factorial, which is going to be the follow-up for our next turn. And then we have a workaround to make sure that the Sigma doesn't get banished. What we're going to do is we're going to overlay both the Sigma and the Circular into our copy of Habetler, and now that the Sigma was used as XYZ material, it would no longer be banished. But we're going to be able to use the Habetler effect on summon to detach 2 cards, and that's going to let us add any Mathmech card from our deck to our hand. So here we're going to go ahead and add our copy of Diameter. Now we haven't used our normal summon yet, since both Circular and Sigma were special summons. We can go ahead and normal summon out the Diameter and activate its effect to reborn one of our Mathmechs. Now I really like to reborn the Circular here because I want to leave the Sigma in grave, and if they have something like a DD Crow or a Bestial, they're probably going to hit whatever you reborn. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Circular because that leaves the Sigma for later on, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to link both of those off into a copy of Splash Mage. Now, Splash Mage will be able to activate its effect to reborn a Cyberse, which is exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and reborn the Circular again, and now what we can do is link the Splash Mage and the Circular, and this is going to go into our copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul. Now, this is pretty much the end board, but we have a couple of things. We can use the Heat Soul to pay 1,000 and draw a card, and in the perfect world, we're going to draw a hand trap. Then we'll go ahead and set the Super Factorial face down on our field and pass our turn. Now, the Decode Heat Soul is also able to draw during our opponent's turn, so again, we'll pay the 1,000 to draw another, and now we're going into our opponent's turn with hopefully 2 hand traps. We still have 4 other cards in our hand, leaving our hand total at 6, which is why we play such a high number of hand traps in this deck, and we also have the Super Factorial, which is going to be able to summon out a Laplation, which is a pseudo Trishula-like effect, being able to rip a card from our opponent's hand and a monster and a spell from their field, send them to the graveyard, does not target, but not just that, because we're going to be making it with the Diameter in our graveyard, then it will also have an Omni Negate for that turn. So we have 6 cards in hand, hopefully a bunch of hand traps, a Trishula and an Omni Negate, and usually that is enough for our opponent to not be able to win the game, and then on our next turn we can go ahead and just make an access code and go for damage. Alright guys, so for combo number 2, we are actually going to show you a different way that we can go about things with just a single copy of Circular, and it's actually going to allow you to have follow-up for the next turn as well. And all we have to do is change one of the monsters that we summon from the extra deck. So we're going to start things off the same way, revealing the Circular to send our copy of Sigma to the graveyard, and that's going to go ahead and special summon the Circular. We'll then go ahead and special summon the Sigma, which will then activate the Circular effect to search our copy of Super Factorial. So everything's pretty much the same now. We're going to go ahead and overlay both again into our copy of Habetler, which is going to allow us to detach to add our copy of Diameter. Same as before, we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Diameter and use its effect to reborn out our Circular, and now instead of going into Splash Mage, we're actually going to link both of these off into a copy of Cyberse Wicked. Now, Cyberse Wicked has a really cool effect where if a monster is summoned to a zone that it points to, you can banish a Cyberse from the graveyard and then add a Cyberse Tuner. Diameter happens to be a Cyberse Tuner. So we can use the second effect of Habetler, which if you didn't know what that was, is it can tribute itself to summon back a Mathmech from your graveyard, graveyard, we're going to go ahead and tribute out the Alimbertion, and this will allow us to summon back that circular to the zone that the Wicked points to. Wicked will then activate, and the one card that we don't need in our graveyard is the Alimbertion, so we're going to go ahead and banish that, and that will let Cyberse Wicked add us our copy of Diameter. So now we have a Diameter for our next turn acting as a Reborn. We're going to go ahead and link the circular and the Wicked into our copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul. We're going to use its effect, again, hopefully drawing a copy of a hand trap. We will go ahead and set our Superfactorial, pass to our opponent, and in their draw phase, we're going to go ahead and use it again, hopefully drawing another hand trap. Again, that was off only one card, so our hand count total is 6, preferably with a good number of hand traps, and the Superfactorial for the Laplation Sends and Omni Negate that we'll get off the Diameter Engrave. So one of the really unfortunate aspects of Mathmech is that it's very susceptible to a card like Nibiru the Primal Being, but by adding a single Diameter into the combo with Circular, you can actually make yourself immune to it, and let's show you guys how. So we're going to start things off the way that we always do. We're going to reveal the Circular to send our copy of Sigma to the graveyard, and that's going to go ahead and special the Circular. Now instead of using the Sigma in graveyard, we're actually going to normal summon out the Diameter and use the Diameter effect to reborn the Sigma, and that's going to activate the Mathmech Circular because one was special summoned. We're going to go ahead and add our copy of Superfactorial. But now that we have the Diameter early, what we can do is we can go ahead and overlay the Sigma and the Diameter into our copy of Alimbertion. Now this does a couple of really cool things for us. Not only are we going to get the Alimbertion search, but because it was made with the Diameter, we have an Omni Negate. So this was our 4th summon, and now we have an Omni Negate, meaning if they attempt to Nibiru us, we don't have to worry. So we're going to use the Alimbertion on summon, detaching both materials, and now typically this is where we would add Diameter, but since we already used Diameter, we need another extender, because we don't want to get rid of our Omni Negate. So we're actually going to add Mathmech Addition. Now this could be addition, it could be subtraction, doesn't really matter, you just want one of the ones that's able to special summon itself. So we're going to use Mathmech Addition, targeting either of our monsters, making it gain 1,000, and summon it to our side of the field. Now we're going to use the Circular and the Addition, and this is going to go into our copy of Splash Mage, which Splash Mage will allow us to reborn one of our Mathmechs, and then because we now have these two on board, we can go ahead and link both of them into our copy of Heat Soul. Now we want the Heat Soul pointing to the Alimbertion because I didn't mention in the first combo, but if it's pointing to a monster, it gains 500 attack. So yeah, we've got these now, and we're going to use the effect again, hopefully drawing into a hand trap, setting our Superfactorial to our field, and in our opponent's draw phase, we're going to draw again, hopefully into another hand trap. This time we only have 5 cards in our hand instead of 6, but because we draw twice and we play a high number of hand traps, the chance of us having hand traps is very high. We were able to play around Nibiru if they had it by having an Omni Negate, and we still have the Superfactorial for the Sends and the Omni Negate as well. For combo number 4, we are going to show you the only Wombo combo that this deck really has. Now, a lot of Master Duel players actually play this in a lot more of a combo-based strategy, but here in the TCG, the control-based strategy is a lot more impactful and a lot more consistent, but there is technically one big combo that the deck has, and that's involving both Circular and Parallel Exceed. Let's show you guys what it is. So we're going to start things off the way that we always do. We're going to use the Circular revealing itself to send our copy of Sigma to the graveyard. This is going to, of course, special summon the Circular, and we'll then go ahead and use the Sigma effect to summon itself out, activating the Circular second effect to search for our copy of Superfactorial. Here what we're going to do is we're going to overlay for the Alimbertion, but we want to specifically put it in this zone. The Alimbertion is probably going to leave the field, but in the off chance that it doesn't, we want to make it in this zone for positioning later. But on summon, we're going to go ahead and use the Alimbertion effect, and this is going to allow us to add our copy of Diameter. We're going to go ahead and, same as before, summon out the Diameter and use its effect to reborn out our copy of Circular, and then we're going to turn both the Diameter and the Circular into a copy of Cyberse Wicked, but we want to make sure that the Cyberse Wicked is specifically in that zone there, and the reason that that's important is for positioning of the monster that we specifically want here. To the summon of Cyberse Wicked, we're going to go ahead and use our Parallel Exceed, special summoning it out, and then activating it again to go ahead and summon out the second Parallel Exceed from the deck. Now, we're not going to use the Cyberse Wicked effect yet because there's nothing engraved that we want to banish, but we're going to take both of the Parallel Exceeds and we're going to link them off into our copy of Pit Knight early, and that's why the positioning was important, because now Pit Knight early is pointing to this zone here. So now we can use the Cyberse Wicked because the Pit Knight early was summoned to its zone. We're going to go ahead, we're going to banish one of our Parallel Exceeds and add us our copy of Diameter for the follow-up on the next turn. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use both the Wicked and the Allen Burschen, and this is going to go into our copy of Heat Soul, which this is really important now because since Pit Knight early is pointing to Heat Soul will be able to draw, and then quick effect, Pit Knight early will be able to negate a card effect or a monster effect on our opponent's side of the field. So we're going to use the Heat Soul during our turn, pay 1,000, draw, again, hopefully a hand trap. We're going to go ahead, set our Super Factorial, and pass to our opponent. Now, instead of shotgunning the draw during the draw phase or standby phase, we're actually going to go ahead and save it for a point where they have something we want to negate, because as soon as they commit a monster that we want to negate the effects of, we can pay 1,000 to draw one more card, and that's going to allow the Pit Knight early to target their monster and negate it, and that's a monster negate on top of the Super Factorial we have. We still have 6 cards in our hand, and we also have the potential hand traps from the high count that we have as well. So for our 5th and final combo, we're going to show you guys a really easy OTK. This is how I win majority of my games, whether it's on turn 3 if I won the dice roll and go first, or if it's on turn 2 because I lost the dice roll and had to go second. There are many ways to do it. You can do it without the Parallel Exceed, but I just want to show you guys the easiest way to do it, and we'll go ahead and explain that a little bit while we're doing it. So we're going to start things off the way we normally do. We're going to use our circular, revealing it to go ahead and add our copy of, or send our copy of Sigma to the graveyard. That's going to special summon out our circular, which we can then use the Sigma effect to summon itself, activating circular second effect to search. Now, if you don't have the Parallel Exceed and you're going to need an additional monster to reborn, you're going to go ahead and add something like Mathmech Equation here, because that's just an additional monster that you can link away later, and you'll have to change what you make in the extra deck. You're going to, instead of making the Wicked, you're going to make the Splash Mage, but since we have the Parallel Exceed, what we want to do is make sure that we have follow-up for our next turn if they're able to stop the OTK. So the circular here is going to actually add the Super Factorial. Just keep in mind that you can add the equation if you need the additional body. What we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and overlay them into our copy of Allen Burschen, and same as always, we're going to use our Allen Burschen effect on summon to add our copy of Diameter. Now we're going to take the Diameter and normal it, which will reborn out our copy of circular, and this next part is technically skippable, but I like doing it because it adds an additional attribute into the mix for the access code. We're going to take the Diameter or the circular, doesn't matter which one, and that's going to go ahead and overlay into the, or link into the Lingeribo. Now that we have the additional attribute, we can go ahead and take the Lingeribo and the circular, and this is going to go ahead and go into our copy of Cyberse Wicked. Now on the summon of Cyberse Wicked, we're going to go ahead and use our Parallel Exceed, summoning it out, and then activating the Parallel Exceed effect to summon another Parallel Exceed from our extra deck, or from our deck. Now, we're not going to use the Cyberse Wicked yet because we still don't have anything engraved we want to banish. Instead, we're going to do the same thing we did in the other combo. We're going to link the 2 Parallel Exceeds away, but this is actually going to go into Update Jammer. Now we're going to use the effect of Wicked, banishing the Parallel Exceed, and adding a Diameter, furthering the follow-up if they're able to stop the OTK. Here we're going to take the Update Jammer and the Wicked, and this is going to go into a copy of Transcode Talker. We can use the Transcode Talker's effect to then reborn our Update Jammer, and we can take the Transcode and the Update Jammer. We're going to go ahead and link both of those into our access code. Now, because access code can't be responded to, we're going to make Update Jammer chain 1 and access code chain 2 targeting the transcode. That makes access code a 5300 attack monster, and Update Jammer lets it attack twice. So in this particular scenario, we only have 3 different attributes because both the Lingeribo and the Wicked share the Dark, but if you didn't open the Parallel Exceed and you had to go the Equation and the Splash Mage route, then you would have Splash Mage, which is a water, leaving you with 4 different attributes, but for this particular one, we only have 3, so we can use the access code to pop 3 cards on our opponent's field, and this is going to then hopefully clear their board, and we can swing twice for 5,300 damage, total of 10,600 damage. I even won against Drytron. He brought himself up to 10,800, so with 10,600 from the access code and the additional 2,000 from the Allen Burschen, that's going to be over 12,000 damage, and there's not a lot of decks that are going to be able to survive that. And there you guys have it. That is going to be 5 must-know Mathmech combos. I know they were all really similar and all pretty much the same, but they do differ and they do offer a bit more of variance in how you're going to play. Of course, it always depends on what you're actually up against. So if you guys enjoyed it, you know the deal. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends, maybe support me on Patreon. Don't forget that I do have my merch store that is going to be insanetcg.com on the screen and in the description down below. Make sure you get your hands on one of these insane hieroglyph playmats before they're out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.